Have you ever felt outnumbered, surrounded by enemies, or overwhelmed by life's challenges? Today, we delve into Psalm 3, a prayer of King David, a man who knew these feelings all too well. Verse 1 and 2 paint a vivid picture of David's distress. He cries out, "Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him." David acknowledges his enemies and he hears their taunts. They claim God will not save him, a cutting remark that attacks both his faith and his situation. Yet, in verse 3, David's tone shifts. He declares, "But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high." Despite the dire circumstances, David expresses confidence in God's protection. He sees God as a shield, a protective barrier against his enemies. God is also his glory, the one who restores his dignity and gives him a reason to hold his head high. In verse 4, David continues, "I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain." This is a testament to David's intimate relationship with God. He calls out, and God answers. It's a conversation, a dialogue between a man and his creator. Moving on to verses 5 and 6. David further illustrates his trust in God. He says, "I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. I will not fear though tens of thousands assail me on every side." Despite the multitude of enemies, David finds peace in God's provision. He can sleep and wake without fear because he knows God sustains him. In verse 7, David prays, "Arise, Lord. Deliver me, my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked." Here, David calls for God's intervention. He prays for deliverance and justice against his enemies. The psalm concludes in verse 8, "From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people." David affirms his belief in God's ultimate salvation and prays for blessings upon God's people. To sum up, Psalm 3 is a prayer of distress, a declaration of trust, and a call for divine intervention. Despite his adversaries and their taunts, David finds solace in God's protection and provision. This psalm encourages us to trust in God's deliverance, even when we feel surrounded on all sides. It's a testament that even in our darkest hours, we can find peace and confidence in God's sustaining power.